Alrighty. I believe my screen should be showing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's CAD office. Welcome to 2022 July CAD updates. During this presentation, if you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A dialogue. We'll take some time at the end of the presentation to review these questions. If we don't answer your question during the webinar, we will be compiling the questions into a Q&A document that will be posted along with a recording of the webinar. Towards the end of my presentation, I'll give you a brief tour of our website resources so that I can show you where the webinar will be posted and show you some other important information. My presentation today consists of 3 parts. A quick review, what's new in 2022, and FDOT and you. Yes, that rhymes, and yes, I did that on purpose. In the first part of the webinar, I'll be giving an overview of things you should know about FDOTConnect 1010, our latest CAD software, as well as installation and configuration. In the second part of my webinar, I'll be going over some of the exciting new tools and enhancements that we have, including our included in our latest maintenance release for FDOTConnect 1010, which was posted last Friday. And finally, in the third part, I'll be reviewing our support resources and taking questions. As you should know by now, and it's okay if you don't already know this by now, FDOTConnect 1010 is our follow-up to our legacy FDOTConnect software for Bentley Connect Edition applications, such as Open Roads Designer and MicroStation Connect Edition. FDOTConnect 1010 is certified for use with specific software versions of the 1010 schema of these Connect Edition applications. I'll show you some more information about that in a little bit. As we have mentioned before, Bentley designed the 1010 applications to be able to coexist in a side-by-side installation with the 1009 applications. And we have designed FDOTConnect 1010 to support side-by-side installations as well. However, as we are already on our second maintenance release of FDOTConnect 1010, I've seen fewer and fewer side-by-side installations, with more designers choosing to boldly move forward to the 1010 platform without looking back. With the second maintenance release of FDOTConnect 1010, the custom configuration step of the installation process is even easier than before. You know, the step that everyone misses at the very beginning when you're installing Open Roads. It's easier now. Anyways, let's take a look, a quick tour of the installation guide and release notes and talk about that. 2 of the resources that I have published, or we have published for FDOTConnect 1010 are the installation guide and the release notes. I compile the release notes every quarter for our maintenance releases based on what the CAD office staff puts in our notes when checking in files. So it is a exhaustive document. I do want to familiarize you with that. So let's see, I'm going to try to switch to my browser. And I'll give you a tour of the website to show you some new stuff shortly, but let's move forward to just very quickly. Okay, the release notes are located on the download page. The release notes are a cumulative document, a living document. I continue to add the additional notes to the existing notes every quarter. So eventually we'll have a huge long list of release notes. I have updated my formatting. If you recall, the previous release notes for FDOTConnect and definitely FDOT-SS10 was just a long text list, and you had to go through the different file names and figure out what note was actually referring to what note. And that was just a cut and paste directly from our notes. I've gone through the process of organizing these so that you see there's 2 sections for each maintenance release. There's application changes, and somewhere way down here is resource changes. The application changes are basically notes regarding any of our applications or tools that have been changed, updated, enhanced, or have had defects fixed in them. The resource changes that I'm referring to are typically things like DGN libraries, feature definitions, and files that are not necessarily directly associated with a tool, cell libraries, things like that. So there's your difference between application changes and resource changes. But to give you a general idea, you can see I've got a column here with the app name, which will be your common name, so like reference checker or workspace doctor, and then it lists the different files that were modified pertaining to that tool, and then the notes will tell you what has changed. You can see with the sign tool, Randy is very, very thorough in his notes about what changed with the sign tool, even referencing issue numbers. And then if you look at the resource changes, you can see the resource name. Oh man, I left a blank row right there. It's a typo. Anyways, you notice the resource name, the common name, like feature definitions, generally referring to the features, and then what DGN libraries were changed and what was generally changed about those DGN libraries. You can see here, we did some changes to the ribbon. What did we change about the ribbon? You can see there's something called Plan Set Manager that I'm going to talk about later. So there's your release notes. And again, like I said, we change those we add to those every quarter. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see here's the release notes from MR1. Okay. And again, those release notes are located on the software downloads page right here under release notes. The installation guide has been updated as well. And I put a big note at the very beginning of the installation guide to please read this entire guide prior to installation. This is mostly, hang on a second. Okay. This is mostly for IT folks, a note to them, because I know that if you're involved with any of the webinars or calling me for support on a regular basis, you know that I have this installation guide. But I put this big note here for the IT folks to read this entire guide prior to installation, because it usually provides them with a lot more insight on how to install the software. Also a note here, if the FDOT workspace fails to load after installation, see page 21 for steps to correct the install. This has changed. If you remember, previously, there's that initial step where you have to set the custom configuration location while you're installing OpenRoads Designer, and it's the easiest thing in the world to completely miss because you have to click a button at the top right corner of the dialog right when it launches, and that's just not an ergonomic situation. So a lot of people miss that step, and the solution was, of course, to go into Workspace Doctor, access the configuration, and manually type in the location of your custom configuration location, which was typically FDOTConnect for workstations, or the server path FDOTConnect for client server installations. In this case, if we jump to page 21, you'll see that step is now, well, I was gonna say 4 easy steps. You launch Workspace Doctor, you click the Reset Configuration button, and then you click OK, and then you restart your machine. Sorry, you don't restart your machine, you restart FDOTConnect 1010. Bob Thorburn added that to Workspace Doctor. I discovered it while doing some documentation, and I went to talk to Bob. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is the easiest thing in the world. Now the support calls for resetting the configuration are going to be so much easier to do. Just press one button, you are good to go. So I just want to point that out. That was Bob Thorburn's idea. Okay, so carrying on, I've showed you the installation guide and the release notes. And moving on to my next slide. We do have a number of new tools that we have added to FDOTConnect 1010 for MR2. One of the newest, most exciting tools that the FDOT CAT office has included in our latest maintenance release is Plan Set Manager. The CAT office has a history of creating robust tools for managing plan sets. But of course, Vern has authorized me to hang up on anyone who refers to Plan Set Manager by the name of that previous sheet indexing tool. So let's not call it that. Plan Set Manager was developed by our in-house development team and allows for intuitive plan set management and title block annotation. It functions in both a single sheet edit mode as well as multi-sheet edit mode. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this for you. Mike Robertson sent me a video yesterday, or 2 days ago, or Friday, whenever it was. And it's stepping me through the process of using this tool. This is the first time that I have presented this tool. I've seen it many times and I've tested it and done other things with it, but I have never done a presentation on Plan Set Manager. So we're gonna go ahead and try to do this, and hopefully I'll get all of the words correct and all the steps correct, but bear with me on this. I did try to memorize Mike Robertson's video as best I could. Okay, where is Open Roads? There it is. And something else is open too. Oops. All right. This is the only part of my presentation that is not completely scripted. This is candid right now, so I'm not reading a script on this. Plan Set Manager is located on the FDOT ribbon now under the Actions section. You'll notice it is a split button that allows you to edit multiple sheets or edit a single sheet. The data included in the title block is stored in the model properties. They are item types. Drew a blank there. Item types. So if you look at Explorer real quick, and you go down to models, and you locate the sheet title for demo model, and then you look at items, you can see there's professional info, and there's project info, and I'll kind of show you what that all is. The professional info pertains to the professional of record, and then the rest of the title block information is the project info. So a number of important things to note about that. Let's go ahead and get this centered again. We launch single sheet edit mode. It's going to pop up on my other screen, and I'm going to have to drag it over because that's the way it always works with a presentation. Okay, you can see that it's populated all of this information. It looks very much intuitive. You can pretty much guess that you edit this information. Let's see, what is this? This is a traffic control plans. You can change the sheet number, change your FPID number. Helps if I have number lock on. And road number and all that. Now, it does support 3 counties. So if you only have 1 county, you use the middle field. If you have 2 counties, use the top and bottom. Of course, if you have 3, you use all 3. There's also an option to place the professional of record information. I'll show you more about that later, but I just want to show you that if I click this, it of course updates my title block. Really easy. Very intuitive tool to use. You notice the bridge information right here is grayed out. That's because it knows that this is not a bridge sheet. This is a roadway sheet. If I were to open up a structure sheet that had the bridge information available in the title block, then that would be available to you. For example, you can see this one has all of that information there. And now that bridge information, including the drawn by, drawing checked by fields, and the date fields are now available to you. So what about this select professional? The information regarding the professional of record is stored in an Excel file, and we deliver this. And it's right here. You can put it wherever you like because, as Mike pointed out in his training video, you can browse to it as I am browsing to it right now. So if you keep this in a convenient location, for example, in your work sets folder or in the FDOT subfolder of your work sets folder, that way you can just have everyone who's a professional of record at your company listed in this file. And when that populates, you can then select professional of record from the dropdown. Let's take a real quick look at that Excel file just so you can get a general idea what that looks like. Okay, you can't change the headers, but here's all the information you can enter. We do have drop downs for your professional type. If there are professional types that are needed that we don't have listed, let us know and we'll go ahead and add those to the list. But you should have everything you need unless we're missing anything. Company name, all the rest of the stuff. Fax number, if anyone still uses faxes. And you store that wherever you'd like, wherever's convenient to you. We do have a multi-sheet edit mode for Plan Set Manager, and it also pops up on the other screen. Now this is really neat. It's a very intuitive interface. I keep saying that, but it's just true. You can select to use just one of your discipline folders. So if you're just going to do multi-sheet edit in a discipline and you don't want to see all the other files, you can select just the discipline, or you can select the top root of your project. It very, very quickly mines your project very, very quickly and pulls up everything that has a sheet in it. And you can then move some of the sheets down here to to edit and make your changes. If it was a plan, but it's not a plan, and you can move all of them if you'd like. If you want to edit all your sheets, and you just edit it right in there. Obviously, you can't change the model name or any of this information, but you can change your sheet number, plan title, or sheet title, and professional record information. And then when you want to commit your changes, you just hit commit changes, and it will commit those changes. Done. So for those of you who are used to the old way of indexing your sheets, this is going to be a lot quicker and easier for you. That is the end of the demo. So I'm going to flip back to my presentation. Assuming I can get that back on screen. Awesome. Okay, here we are. Another new tool added to the FDOTConnect 1010 workspace in MR2 is the Project Submittal Reference Checker, or simply the reference file checker. This tool can be used in a batch mode to check for missing reference files in your project. Once again, it has an intuitive interface. I'm not even going to demonstrate it for you because you can see there's a browse button. You browse to your project. You select what sheets you'd like or what DGN files you'd like to check for missing references, and it produces a report for you. The Coordinate System Reporter is also new in MR2 and has a similar intuitive interface. That seems to be the word of the day, intuitive. You can browse to your project, then select Run. The Coordinate System Reporter displays a report of the geographic coordinate systems set in each model of each file in your project. This report can also be exported for inclusion with your delivery if desired. Some other enhancements and updates: the FDOT geotechnical tools have been enhanced for labeling of cross-section boreholes, as well as the placement of water table cells. A new tool has been added to automate the adjustment of named boundaries for extending borehole depth in section cuts. So if you've cut your cross sections and the borehole extends outside of that boundary, there's a new tool for resolving that. The automated quantities tools have been updated. Clearing and grubbing and removal items are now automated for the very first time in the state of Florida. All summary tables now work with Designer Interface Quantities Builder. The summary tables have been enhanced to allow for more than 60 rows in the table, and automated bridge quantities are now available in FDOTConnect 1010 for use with Open Bridge Modeler. You might have remembered from when I showed you the release notes that the sign tool has been updated quite a bit. The high points of this are that the FDOT sign tool, the FDOT file now displays all of the sign panels in the list, where previously some panels were not visible. An issue with the guide sign worksheet pathing has been fixed. Additional options for text customization, font face, and other options have been added when placing labels in the sign tool. And a number of miscellaneous user interface enhancements have been added to the sign tool to improve the user experience. Okay, let's see. I do want to point out that there are some upcoming webinar presentations by the CAD office as part of the FDOT Transportation Symposium series. This is a screen cap directly from the Transportation website or Transportation Symposium website. And you can register for those. Looks like we've got all those are upcoming except for the one at the top. Building custom drainage features in Open Roads Designer, CAD model element properties by Candy and Vern. Automated bridge quantities by Candy, and oh, I appear to be doing a presentation on Plan Set Manager. How convenient. So if you're interested in any of those topics for further training in depth, you can check out the FDOT Symposium website. It's easy enough to find if you just use a search engine to search for FDOT Transportation Symposium. Come right to it, first search result. Okay. I realize this this slide says thank you for attending, but we're not nearly at the end of the presentation. I do want to point out that's our website. You should know by now. And the best way to get support from us is to email that cad.support@dot.fl.us. What I'd like to do now is take you on a brief tour of our website to just remind you where things are, or show you where things are for the first time, to make sure that you're aware of those resources that you have, and make you aware of places that we're most likely to be adding new information. Here's our website. It is fdot.gov/CAD, CADD. The most important part is, of course, this column on the right. If you go to Publications, you'll find the CAD manual. If you're not already familiar with the CAD manual, it is a living document that we update on a regular basis to reflect all of the CAD standards and recommended procedures for producing plans or projects. There you go. Who just agreed with me? Was that Mike? Sorry, I just got done talking about Plan Set Manager, so the word plan is on my mind for producing projects for the state of Florida. Okay, we do have the legacy manual still up here, but this is the most current one. You'll see it's for FDOTConnect and FDOT 2021 C3D. That might need to be updated. Next important thing, software downloads. We've got the FDOT 2023 Civil 3D and AutoCAD State Kit up top, as well as your FDOTConnect 1010.02. That is the MR2 of the FDOTConnect 1010. You'll notice with the Civil 3D and AutoCAD State Kit that both a Civil 3D State Kit as well as an AutoCAD only State Kit are available. Both of them have their own installation and user guide. Going back to the FDOT 1010 CAD software downloads page, We were here before, you know, so there's client server workstation as always. If you click on the current supported versions link, this is going to take you to the list of current supported versions of the software. This is really important. We have certified the FDOTConnect 10.10.02 workspace for Open Roads Designer 10.10.2104. Obviously, here's the rest of the different softwares you can use, but obviously most commonly people are asking about Open Roads. So we're using the 10.10.2104 with the most recent version of FDOTConnect 10.10. Close that out. If you click on FDOT-CAD training, this is going to take you to our training page. These are all our training courses. They include guides, videos, and a data set, so you can play along at the home game, as they used to say on those game shows. Click there for your training guide, or here. Data set available here, and here's all of the videos that'll step you through the exercises and walk you through the chapters. We also have a selection for Civil 3D as well. Those are available to you. If you're a FDOT employee, these courses are also available in our in-house training system learning curve. Here's where things get interesting. The posted webinars. This webinar is being recorded. It will be posted here on the posted webinar page. Inevitably, it will be posted at the top of this list right here, if I had to guess. These are the links to the Transportation Symposium from last year and the year before. The general resources are something that I periodically will do a quick video and have it posted here. You'll see that I did a video called FDOTConnect Important Information. I mentioned some of the important information today. This was a training video, I think it's about 10 minutes long, that steps you through some really important information regarding installation and configuration of FDOT 10.10. This does apply to the latest maintenance release, so it does show you how the new workspace doctor works for resetting the configuration and things like that. It talks about how when you do an installation, if things don't work correctly at first, you shouldn't have to dig into the configuration files or do anything radical, that there's usually a quick little fix somewhere. So give us a call or shoot us an email if something doesn't work exactly right. You shouldn't have to dig around and try to rewrite the software. I've had a couple of calls over the last couple months where someone was having a problem and had to try to adjust configuration variables. I was like, no, let's go back a step. Let's see what else could be wrong. So that video covers that topic. It's a pretty good good view. Information about the FDOT ribbon. I did a FDOT QC process overview. I believe that's still up to date. So, but that's the ones that I will update on an occasional basis. I'll say, you know, I should make a training video about this one topic. I'll do like a 5-10 minute training video on some topic that was on my mind under general resources. Okay. But like I said, this webinar will be posted under the FDOT CAD posted webinars section of our website. So, okay. Now, moving on, I see that we have quite a few questions. I'm going to expand the Q&A dialog so I can see exactly what the questions are. And do know that our panelists have done some answering of questions. Panel just doesn't. There we are. All right, expanding the dialogue. Okay, do we need to remove the old version of f.ord to update? Okay, so if you are already running Open Roads Designer 10.10.2104, or if you're running the current certified version of another one of the softwares, OBD, OBM, or MicroStation Connect Edition that's certified for the MR2, you do not need to uninstall that application. But as always, you do need to uninstall the previous version of FDOTConnect 1010 to install the new version. And do not install FDOTConnect 1010 on top of the FDOTConnect 1009 if you still have that installed. You can install them side by side, so you can have FDOTConnect and FDOTConnect 1010, but don't install FDOTConnect 1010 on top of FDOTConnect. Bad things happen. Really interesting things happen, oddly enough. I had a support call a couple of weeks ago where that had happened. Will Plan Set Manager place the digital delivery note on the side? And Vern has answered that one, yes, dependent on the professional of record property selected. So yes, that is placed with the professional record information. Do you have plans to enlarge the sheet number? Sheet number and all other fields are set to the FDM and CAD published standard sizes, but they can be edited in place. Location of the FAC note needs to move up to the bar. Okay, yeah, that's a support request. We'll get on that. Take a look at that. Okay, so this question here asks, for companies still working in 1009 and slowly transitioning to 1010, can 1009 files be opened and worked on in 1010? We're at phase 4 for some of our 1009 projects and are afraid of losing data by making the late transition. So Vern answers this one by saying there are no known risks in moving forward to 1010. We recommend upgrading to the latest version on ORD projects. Opening in 1010 will convert the files to 1010, and I will I'll add to that with 1010 there are a number of enhancements that we are making use of, and defects that have been fixed from the 1009 schema, especially in 1010-2104. So one of the things that I've been running into with some support calls is if something is broken in 1009 and there's not a workaround, my number one recommendation is move forward to 1010. We're on our second maintenance release, so we put out the initial release, then MR1, then MR2. At this point, moving forward to 1010 is a fully supported thing. And you'll notice that on our website, we've taken the 1009 and SS10 off of the downloads page. At this point, we are supporting 1010. There will not be any further maintenance releases for 1009. Is the Plan Set Manager locked into the sheet model only? Yes, it only works with sheet models. Do I still need to add the EOR the first time to each sheet individually, or can I use the new tool to add the EOR? You can add the EOR using the new tool to each sheet individually. Mike, it does that in batch mode too, right? The EOR information?
Yeah, she can select all your sheets, right click and say update sheet properties and set any information within the sheet title. You can bulk change every sheet in your plan set if you want, or just pieces of it.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just want to make sure. Does the Plan Set Manager allow for easy renumbering? Absolutely. Glad to say it. How many rows can we use? I was obviously this question has been answered. Candy does say the answer to how many rows can be used, but in my presentation it says more than 60. I don't know what the number is above 60 that it goes to, but just want to answer that cleverly.
Pretty much whatever Excel will handle, Matt. And then when it creates the PDF, then it'll paginate the PDF as needed.
I like that. It was an interesting bit of information on the slide, the way it was phrased. I think Candy was the one that had said just simply, now they can handle more than 60. I'm like, well, what's the upper limit? So all that Excel can handle. Showing configuration variable to use plan set manager. Oh, lost that question. Okay, just going down. Let's see what has not been answered. Will there be an update for plan labeling? I'm gonna need more information about that. Have pay items been added to ITS for quantities on 1009? We only have a handful of pay items. Candy, what's the status of the ITS pay items? You might be muted.
Sorry about that. I got you. Not 100% certain that's all part of the traffic tools. We do have the signalization tool, and a lot of the ITS pay items are the same and can probably be placed with that tool. There are a lot of advancements within the traffic tools, and it's constantly being improved. Randy Roberts is the contact person for that. So if you have more questions, definitely send an email to the CAD.support group and it will get to Randy and he will be glad to assist, I'm sure.
Excellent. In the multi-sheet border editor, if the batch process encounters an open locked file, what will the batch process do? Mike, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it'll show in the grid as red. The default view will show a checkbox in the read-only field. It will not update those files. It'll let you kind of go through the process of everything else in your group, but it will not update a read-only file because we can't. We have to modify the file. We're not saving off an index like the old program that shall not be named.
Yes. Okay, great. That's what I thought. For automated quantities, we've been running into an issue with station and quantity accuracy. Civil AccuDraw stationing does not match station limits provided by the EQ reports. Typically, values are off by a few hundredths. Candy, have you heard about this?
We've heard a couple of people talking about that. Mike could probably answer that one better than me. It's to do with the precision of the search with Quantity Takeoff Manager, and honestly, if it's only off by a couple of hundredths, we are not going to measure fractional inches. That's why we call the estimated quantities estimated. If the reviewers want to get nitpicky to that point, they can reach out to us and we will let them know that it is a limitation of the software and it is acceptable.
Okay. That's good information to have. Do we need to install MR1 before MR2? We had held off of MR1 due to being in the middle of several PSEE submittals. No, the installations are cumulative. So if you have the initial release of FDOTConnect 1010, you actually want to uninstall the initial release and install this. This is a full installation from the ground up. So MR2 is by itself a standalone. If you have something that's already installed, please uninstall it. Don't install on top of it. So absolutely. It doesn't. In other words, it does not matter if you did not install MR1 because you don't want to have anything installed anyways. And we've got more questions popping in the bottom of the. Okay. Let's see. Is there a way that quantity-related pay items can be highlighted? We need that tool to back-check quantities. Candy, you have any information about highlighting quantity-related pay items?
There are, I'm sorry, I was answering another question. What was that question again?
Is there a way that quantity-related pay items can be highlighted?
Absolutely. It is, if you're using the Explorer and the items, you can select a group and it will highlight the entire group. You can use the advanced search to narrow it down by pay item or by type. That process is covered in the Automated Quantities Training Guide, or at least it's touched on. That is one of the best tools to use for troubleshooting all of your item types for quantities is the Explorer items and the advanced search tools within that.
Excellent.
So please reach out to me if you need additional assistance with that. I'll be glad to help.
Can reference checker and GCS reporter be used on 1009 files? Yes, if you install 1010 and open those 1009 files in 1010. Send me an email, cad.support, and we'll talk. Do the summary tables Candy, I've got to say, a lot of these questions I'm just going to be deferring to you on. Do the summary tables typically populate line items at random? We have a number of alignments for a particular project, and each line item varies. Is there a way to get them to populate in groups of the same alignment versus randomly populating?
I'm not sure what version the user has installed currently, but the summary tables should organize it should sort by pay item, then by station. So if you have stations that are in the same range on two different alignments, it will jump around. So it's going to start with, it's going to organize them by the lowest station with the begin station. And it will organize them that way. If you're still seeing that issue and it's not sorting them by station number, and keep in mind, it will also, having a station equation might throw that a bit. So if you have issues with it, please zip me an email, let me know, and we can look into it a little more.
Excellent, thank you. This is a question right here that reminds me of something that I meant to also include in the information. Is the recent traffic app hotfix included in the MR2? And the answer to that is yes. Whatever hotfixes were out there prior to the MR2 have been rolled into the MR2. However, it was pointed out to me that any additional little hotfixes for the traffic tools will be posted here periodically if we do have hotfixes for the traffic tools. I realize that's one of those tools that is growing rapidly, and so sometimes changes are made and we need to get them out. So if those do exist, they will be posted. But that was rolled into the MR2. Let's see, what else do we have? Great. Why can't MRs just simply be a simple software update, not a full install and reinstall? This conversation actually happens on a semi-occasional basis. Something we do need to talk about and think about sometimes, and figure out what is best. I guess that's one of those things that we could discuss with the technical advisory committees to some degree, and see what everyone thinks about that. Previously, we have found that automated quantities does not correctly order quantities by station when there's both double and triple digit stationing. For example, 99 plus 00 gets listed after 100 plus 00 because it is sorted by the first digit. Has this been fixed, or has this been an issue for anyone else? Another automated quantities issue there for you, Candy. What do you have to say?
I thought we had that fixed. I would defer to Mike on that one. I'm pretty sure we had that resolved with this last release, but unless Mike knows off the top of his head, we'll definitely double check. But I thought we had that issue resolved.
I believe so.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. I see a number of questions that are getting more in depth that I think that we're going to probably turn into support calls or emails. So we will be, of course, answering all. I still have plenty of time to go through more questions, but some of these questions we may want to do via email or a conference call. Let's see what else. These are some great questions. Okay. Will pay items and pay item descriptions populate for additional summary table pages? For instance, we have 300 pages of a cleaning and sealing joints pay item, and the first summary table will be the only one with pay item and pay item description. Previously, if we had a runover table, those pay items and descriptions would show as such with continued. Candy, you want to jump on that one? Is that a you question?
It does not. It is a continuous PDF for the EQ report, and because because we will no longer be even having the 60-row limit in the Excel file, there's no way of knowing where the page breaks are going to happen in the PDF. It would be a challenge at best to put the continued in there, and we do not repeat the pay item number and description at the top of another page. So no, that is not going to be part of the workflow. If you do have a review comment about that, you just respond to the reviewer to that this is the way that the output is configured in the tools and is part of the software to not put continued at the top of each page, and that is the intention. And if they have a problem with that, have them reach out to the CAD office and we will let them know.
Could the MSI install variables for silent installs be kept updated in the installation guide? That is an excellent suggestion. I have been meaning to compile that into a document, because we do occasionally get questions about silent installs for our software. The variables, I believe, have definitely changed since SS10. So I'll go ahead and make myself a note here. I will make a note to go ahead and get that into the installation guide and make that more readily available to people who are going to do silent installs. Okay. If stations for quantities being off by a few hundredths of a foot is acceptable due to limitations of the software, can the CAD office send this information to the districts? I imagine that's something we could probably write a memo on. Candy, what are you thinking about that?
I don't even know about memo. We might just we could check into whether it belongs in the BOE or in the CAD manual to state what kind of variability is allowable within the EQ report.
Now, let me just add that the location data that's shown in the summary report is not necessarily supposed to be used for back checking the quantities. It is simply a location for people to go find it in the plans or in the digital files. It's not to be relied on as a back check on the calculation. It's not like the old comp books where you could pretty much verify, subtract, and multiply distances and widths and get the exact quantity. It is pulled out of the CAD files automatically in its nearest location, and it may or may not match the exact length that's showing on, or the exact unit that's being shown in the actual unit column. So it depends on what you're trying to use it for. If it's just for location data, it's good enough the way it is, and the district should know that.
Okay, it's good information to have. Let's see. These are all great questions. And it looks like everyone on the team is filling in these answers as we go. This is excellent. Okay, what am I missing? All right, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in. We have about 10 minutes left in this webinar to answer your questions. And if you need anything demonstrated or talked about, let us know. It looks like we've got answers for most of these questions. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom real quick. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, we have another one. We're having an issue with automated signing pavement marking quantities. The elements were tied to an alignment, FPID, it would simply show us 00 plus 00 on the PDF. Do you know anything about that, Candy, or is that a Randy thing?
That usually happens when someone puts the alignment item type on top of a signing a payment marking item type, and you have a duplicate alignment property that way, and it creates a conflict. When doing signing a payment marking, you do not attach the separate alignment item type. The alignment is already included in the signing and payment marking item types because it can be selected through the traffic tools. And I see that quite a bit. It's just, we have to keep in mind that it's a different workflow using the traffic tools and make sure that we don't have any duplication or conflicts.
Excellent. The question here, is there a place where we've documented what functions don't work with ProjectWise? I don't believe we have any sort of actual official document of what specifically doesn't work. Send an email to CAD.support. Let's talk about that and see how best we can help.
Well, what I will say about ProjectWise in our workspace is Bentley does have a dedicated support person that is working through all of the FDOT workspace ProjectWise concerns. It's not something that we support, mainly because we don't have ProjectWise to test all this. It's not something that we purchased from Bentley. A lot of consultants we understand do, and therefore Bentley has stepped up. And if you need us to, just send an email to CAD.support, and we can forward you the name of the Bentley contact that will be testing and verifying a lot of these functions in our workspace.
All right. Got another great one about automated quantities. Candy, do you want to make this the automated quantities webinar? For automated quantities based on shapes, no 3D model, is there a way to identify a particular shape or group's quantity, a pay item and thickness width? Pay item and
yeah, I was already starting to type an answer to that, so I can go ahead and handle that. It's expected, unless you're doing like a 3R project, those tonnage quantities will come from a 3D mesh. If you are using 2D shapes, the only way to get the tonnage quantity is to do the calculation, whether you do it by adding up the areas or selecting all your shapes and getting the area and doing the math yourself, or by running the takeoff manager and getting a quantity. That calculation has to be done. It is not an automatic thing until it is calculated. So that's the best we can do if you're using 2D shapes.
Okay. For ongoing SS10 projects that may take a year to be completed, are there any specific compatibility concerns now that it is no longer supported? I have an answer for that. Vern, did you want to give a more of official answer on that one?
I'd be happy to. So Bentley stopped supporting SS10 updates about 4 years ago, and FDOT stopped supporting FDOT Select Series 10 updates really about 1.5 years ago. We did do one more update last summer, but we haven't done any updates. So are there compatibility concerns? I don't know about compatibility, but definitely there's going to be features and standards and criteria that changes in the FDM that are not getting updated bases of estimates. If they're adding new pay items, you won't see those in the old workspace because we're not updating that workspace. Anything like that, you'll need to reach out to our office, and we'll have to work with you on your project on a project by project basis for things that you can either customize for your project or fixed features, we'll have to just work on it on a project by project basis. And that is pretty much our position on that.
That was kind of where I was thinking that response was going to go. I know that over the years we've said eventually we're going to reach a point where we're going to have to deal with things on a project by project basis. And I guess hearing you say that now, we are at that point now. We are at project by project basis for SS10. I did want to make sure that I was going to say that correct then. So thank you, appreciate that. Oops, now I've lost my question and answer dialogue. Okay. From a reviewing standpoint, when the quantities are outputted to summary tables, it's difficult to take sum of all line items, especially when you have 5+ sheets, since each cell is a text and not a number. Any suggestions to back checking these sums? That might be something we want to do a support call on. Let's Candy, I'll let you have the Q&A document after this, so you can possibly follow up on some of these, a lot of quantities questions.
That one's easier now that we have a single output sheet in the summary table. So yeah, that'll be a lot easier, and a lot of folks will like that a lot better because it's just going to be a running list in sheet 1. So that should help.
This is a question I did want to get to. Is FDOTConnect 1010 already certified for use with Windows 11, or will it be certified soon? It is not yet certified with Windows 11. There has been some limited testing, or some testing, in the CAD office of Windows 11. We do have a number of people that can probably answer some questions about that, but we have not officially certified, and the department is, I think we're holding off on moving forward to Windows 11 for a little while. So I couldn't give you an exact date when we will have it certified.
Yeah, there's 5 people in the office using it, Matt, and we haven't run into any issues with Windows 11.
Yeah, I think every issue that we've run into where someone says, is this related to Windows 11? I'll go back and check and be like, nope, I can reproduce the error myself here. So I haven't heard of any issues so far, but
however, let me just reiterate that we did send a memo out that the Select Series, or GeoPack, is, we are having issues with a lot of our custom applications, specifically written in VBA, not running in Windows 11. So any of these SS10 machines should not be upgraded to Windows 11. Or you shouldn't install SS10 on a Windows 11 machine if you've got one. You can always downgrade to Windows 10 in that situation.
Right. I remember even the installation of the Select Series 10 applications in a Windows 11 environment was just, the installation itself was problematic in some cases. Got a lot more quantities questions. We're getting almost up against the hour here. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this last question here. Can we get a copy of all the questions and answers? Absolutely. So that question answer dialogue, the report generated by the question answer dialogue will be posted under FDOT CAD posted webinars on our website. It'll be under the FDOTConnect Open Roads Designer section. It'll probably be right at the top here. And there'll be a little link right here where it says Q&As, and that will be a Q&A document with all of our compiled answers. There are a lot of great questions, a lot of long answers on this. So it may take a little while to compile, but I'll go ahead and make a concerted effort to get all of this together for you as quickly as possible and post that up there. So check back sometime next week, and hopefully that'll be up there. Okay. Vern, Candy, Mike, do y'all have any final thoughts you'd like to share with the attendees before we adjourn?
Just if they run into issues with our software, let us know instead of just, let us know instead of just waiting until one of these to bring up an issue.
Yep. Please use the CAD.support at dot.state.fl.us for any questions or comments regarding our software.
Absolutely. I'll bring that back up on screen for everyone. Yeah, I've run into a couple of support calls where someone will say, yeah, we've been having this problem for weeks or months. And I'll say, definitely call us. Let us know. It not only helps us, maintain the software and get the software updated if something needs to be fixed, it helps us become aware of the issues that the users are facing with the software and provide additional support resources and training resources to make sure that those issues are not a problem. So I do want to thank you for spending this hour with us and attending the webinar. If you have any questions, of course, again, email us cad.support@dot.state.fl.us, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks.